Here's Patrick Johnston, columnist with the province.
Dodge a bullet this week.
Sun.
Thank you, Matthew.
The entire media operation.
He sent us a cease and desist letter. We may no longer call him.
Untrue.
No, that wasn't you, right? That wasn't you.
No, that was Rob. That's what they do at Daily Hive.
What? Ooh. Shade. From our
No,
two,
to be clear, they don't.
Yeah, you're going to get sued for that.
Yeah, exactly. There's static amongst the bald heads on this program.
Yeah.
What stood out to you in last night's loss?
Oh. Oh man. It honestly, it was a fun game.
It was. Ruined.
It was. Even if, there was sort of, you're like, the Canucks are getting a lot of shots. Are they actually dangerous? I don't know. I don't think so. And that became sort of the line of questioning, because then you start discovering that actually by design, the Chicago Blackhawks don't block shots, and they want Spencer Knight to see everything. And which led to a very interesting answer from Adam Foote, which was basically saying our guys didn't stay at the net long enough, and that's fine. But anyway,
the heat map disagrees with that, though, right? Like, you saw the heat map; it is glowing in front of Spencer Knight.
Fine. It's more. But it was more the the goalie saw the shots, and if the goalie sees the shot, he's supposed to make the save. Certainly, in the way that goalies are taught to play now, right? The whole point,
and three wraparounds are going to glow, but goalies don't let in wraparounds anymore.
Anyway, listen. The Canucks had a lot. The point is, the Canucks had a ton of possession, right? They had a lot of the puck. They were actually doing good things, and they should have scored. On the whole, given possession, they should have scored, and they did. And then they did what J-Pat highlighted after the game: 25 goals in the third period this season. Half the goals they've given up have been in the final frame, and that is a massive, massive problem. And it's whether it's fatigue, whether it's just a lack of execution, lack of preparedness, whatever it is, the third periods are a huge, huge problem for a team that can afford few problems. It sucks. And this isn't fun to discuss. Partly because, it was actually a fun home game. Even if they weren't scoring back and forth, there's a lot of action. And I think, people go to be entertained and have fun. Obviously, they want to see goals scored. And it just, they didn't have it. They didn't score, and then they lost. And that the sort of feeling of deflation that you felt covering yet another game. This is no fun. The people think, oh, you guys are here to rag them and drag them down and yada yada. No. Believe me, the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals were the best hockey coverage experience of my career. The games were fun. There was a lot of, whatever, but
playoffs not
for
fun.
What we have to do. But the playoffs are fun. Yeah. And you don't get to the playoffs giving up 25 goals, giving up half your goals on the season in the third period.
Let's ask you the Redwoods Golf Course poll question. Will Elias Pettersson get his confidence back?
I'm not even sure confidence is the question at this point. It's an acceleration, skating fast question.
We ask it because he's deferring on the breakaway and the two.
He's got more than enough separation on those two plays.
I see fair. Other outside of that, I see a player that's doing lots of good stuff, and he's going to the net, and he almost people miss that rebound chance off the end wall that was an incredible save by Knight. But no, absolutely. I just want to, by the way, while we're talking about it, I just want to highlight, I think people didn't process the flubbed pass by Kane on the almost breakaway for Pettersson. Part of the reason why Pettersson's trying to time that out, because it's the end of their shift. Those guys have been on for a minute. That was everything has to go right moment. Now, the later chance when he deferred and dropped back and instead of just driving the lane. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that still is there. And is that because he's still anxious physically about his knee or whatever it is? Like that, absolutely. Will he get those moments back? I'm starting to say I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I do see a player that is playing smartly otherwise, and I think is doing lots of good things and passing the puck well, and but still struggling to kind of find shooting lanes. So is that confidence? Is that ability? I mean, I guess if you're asking me, will he get it back? And I have to be negative, I'll be no. But I'm not sure confidence is the issue here. But yeah, is he going to get it back? He's certainly not looking like it. If that's the thing we're talking about, finding the way to the shooting lane, right now, given where he's at, given everything else, I got to say no.
My template for that play, and I still think on the Kane one, you still take that shot. In fact, more so because you're tired.
Sure.
The idea should be getting the puck furthest away from your net, regardless.
Sure.
So if you fire and you miss, that's fine. You peel off in your change. My biggest template for this, best template for this is he is the 8th highest paid player in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
Find me a player on the list that's a forward that doesn't take a shot there. And I defy you to find one. I defy you to find one.
Yeah.
They're all
and
taking
I think
shots
that's
there.
in the end. Yeah, I think that's well put. And in the end is essentially why I'm saying no to this question, because it's been too long. Like it's been so long. It is rather, it's all, we're at almost 2 seasons now. It is a bit mind blowing. Like clearly whatever happened there physically in 23-24. And he would never talk about it. He'll never, ever talk about it. He was that fear of, well, I don't want to make an excuse. And we're like, I'm not making an excuse. We're just trying to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And he will never, he'll just say, nope, I've got to be better. And like, fair enough.
So
but it's not, it has not been there for a long time.
The existential question for this year is, what is management thinking right now? Injuries were an excuse as to why they weren't putting their best foot forward. I was cautioning, and I still am, okay, but even when they get healthy, how much better are they? They are better, but how much? And if they're only 8 to 9% better than they were, what's the point in waiting to get healthy here? Do they have the temerity to sell off pieces? They don't really have pieces that are great to sell off outside of the Kiefer Sherwoods of the world, which aren't exactly going to rebuild your organization. Do you find a way to acquire new talent? Like, they are so stuck, Patrick. I don't know. I don't even, from my easy pulpit, from my undefeated chair here in our Pacific Toyota studios, I don't even know what to suggest to them, because they are, with their roster construction, they're very stuck right now. Like, rebuild how? Who?
Hughes.
Well, I mean, just
no. Hold on.
Yeah.
Blake, Hughes.
Okay.
It's very simple.
Okay.
If this season is going to pot and Quinn Hughes is unwilling to sign an extension this summer, your rebuild piece is Quinn Hughes, and he gets you 3 to 4 good assets.
Yeah. And that one is really easier said than done right now, like, especially at this stage, Matt. If you're talking 10 months from now, sure. But right now?
No, this deadline.
Okay, what do they do between now and then?
Lose a lot of games.
I mean, it's funny. I find myself looking a little bit at, well, here, I've opened up the NHL media site, and right now the Global Series banner is there, and it's the Nashville Predators and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if you think a little bit about where the Penguins are at the end of the Rutherford era, now, the Penguins did not have a lot. They're still kind of stuck in that window. Can they really? I mean, they, in their heart of hearts, they probably, Kyle Dubas and his crew probably know that they would probably best serve to trade Crosby, Malkin, Letang. But those guys are not going anywhere as far as we know. I mean, maybe it happens. Maybe this is the year where it happens. And that would help them a lot. They don't have a ton in the system. They're playing great. Let's be clear. They're playing great. They're punching above their weight. Good for them. But there's not a lot of top-end guys coming through, although they've done a decent job of sort of restocking in general. Now, the reason why the Penguins were in that state was because they were winning the Stanley Cup and trying to win the Stanley Cup. The Canucks are far from that. So they're in a pickle now. Like, if they do the, quote, rebuild, which we know ownership will never actually go for, but they may not have a choice because, as you said, Quinn Hughes is not willing to stay. Okay, you can start thinking about some of that, and there are things to work with, but there's no budding future stars in this lineup. I mean, Tom Willander's playing well. I'm enjoying Tom Willander, but I think there's still a long way to go for him to be an out-and-out star defenseman. But let's go look at the injured list. Like, just to go to Blake's original question, like, who is there available to come back? There's Nils Höglander, there's Jonathan Lekkerimäki, right? Like, there's also, I suppose, Derek Ford, Teddy Bluger, and Victor Mancini. Of those 5 guys, I mean, I'm putting Philip Hedl aside because I don't think he's going to. I mean, I hope he comes back. But
such a question mark. Yeah.
Right, you can't. So of those guys, Höglander and Lekkerimäki have ability to put the puck in the net. So they make the team a little bit better, right? Like, this is the team that does need to score more. I mean, they're minus 10 in goals for and against, right? Like, you could survive 50 goals against is not worse than the league. You could see that, you can squint and say, okay, they get those guys back, they get back to even in terms of goals for and against. That gets you in the direction of being a playoff team. But as I've been pointing out, we are already starting to go on a countdown where they're going to have to play like 600 hockey the rest of the way to make the playoffs. So, like, that's not being me saying the sky is falling. It's just simply the reality. You need to get 95 points, and they have 14 points. So, like, you're absolutely right, Blake. Like, what else is there here? And it's a team that, when the season started and things, you could not expect them to end up with 8-9 guys out injured at one point, right? Like, that is a thing that they will be able to say, listen, we had a pile of injuries and it set us behind the 8 ball right off the top. That said, look at the team they played last night. The Chicago Blackhawks have a superstar talent. Like, Connor Bedard has finally found his way. They have a fantastic first-line center. They have a couple really fun young defensemen. They have a quality goalie, right? But the rest of that lineup is not that spectacular.
No, pretty flawed. Yeah.
The Canucks, like the Canucks, it is not unreasonable to say the Canucks are at least as good as that team. And yet they lost because in the end, their $11.6 million number one center is not shooting and scoring enough. Their star defenseman, and I'm not blaming Quinn Hughes on this because I think he's doing everything he can. It's just a statement about how badly things are going right now. Has one 5-on-5 point this season.
Shocking.
It's a baffling case. I mean, we talked about this early on in the year that, they got that opening night win against Calgary, and it was a win built off everything but Quinn Hughes, and that was a good thing. Like, you need the rest of your lineup going. And to a degree, they kind of had that going. Vander Kane actually, I think, is playing pretty well and is getting goals. And they got a goal from Atu Ratu, who has 5 points, and that's what you need from your third-line center. And yet, there's just the top end is not there. Like, they're just not. PD has 3 goals, right? Like I said, I've already said Hughes is doing what he can, but the cohesive whole is not there. They are near the bottom in all these shot categories, right? Like, they just give up shots. They're not getting enough shots to counterbalance against that. There is a reason why, as much as people may malign his tenure, there is a reason why Rick Tocchet was so focused on defense, because the overall challenge here, it's a lot easier to prevent goals than it is to score goals. And if you focus on preventing goals, you're going to give yourself a fighting chance. And I one of the clear flaws so far to the Adam Foote game is that I think he lets his guys play too loose. It's not that they're making lots of mistakes, but they're trying to play a flowing game, and they don't have the talent, the offensive talent, to make the flowing game work. And certainly not without the likes of Höglander. They need Lekkerimäki to hit. Like, there's just no doubt. When he comes back, they need him to be an impactful player because there's just not enough there. I mostly like Brock Besser's brought to the game, but, Brock Besser is – you can't have him being the only guy scoring. You need other guys scoring. Connor Garland's playing fun, and he's a fine player, but, you're not getting goals from him. You're not getting goals from Jake DeBrusk. Jake DeBrusk I think Jake DeBrusk, he's a lovely guy, great guy to talk to. He cares, and he knows how badly he's playing. Like, he had a little bit of an exchange post-game with a couple of us, and you can see in his face how bad he feels. He looks at what's going on. He is not contributing. And so if this team is going to go anywhere, all those things have to do better. Like, there's just fundamentally all the guys that are there to score need to score more. with perhaps the exception of Brockmaster, because he is scoring. Like he won, the winning goal on Tuesday night, right? He's not going to score every night, but you need more from so many more guys on offense, and that is a huge problem right now. And I don't know if you can do that with the way, like I said, counterbalance against the struggles they're having defensively. They're just giving up too many goals, even if they're not giving up too many goals in relative comparison to the rest of the league. It's just a incoherent sort of way of playing right now, and that's just not going to work.
Were they too hasty in giving Lankinen that extension last year?
Maybe. I mean, they were in a bind. Like,
they weren't. No, they weren't.
Well,
they weren't.
They
weren't in a bind. They were in a bind when they brought him here. They were not in a bind when they gave him the extension. They chose to give him an extension.
They didn't know what Demko was yet.
They didn't know what Demko was going to be. They didn't know what Demko was going to be. So locking Lankinen in made sense. Did it make sense at the number they did? Did they have to at the number they did? I mean, I suppose you could say that was a payback for him simply saying, yes, I will take far less than I'm worth for this season. And they were just paying him back for what they couldn't pay him this last season. Anyway, Kevin Lankinen, like, sitting there writing last night, and, the player grades and thinking about this, the first 3 goals, in fact, all 4 goals, if you will, but goal 1, backdoor play. Nobody covering anybody in the backdoor. Goal 2, Tyler Bertuzzi doing the exact same thing again on a power play. Nobody covered Tyler Bertuzzi. Goal 3, which that's Ilya Mikheyev, right? Goal mouth scramble. Like, Kevin Lankinen is doing everything he can. He's literally splayed out, arms reaching out to try to stop Ilya Mikheyev from scoring. Goal 4, Tyler Bertuzzi, cross ice, cross seam pass. Like, maybe he makes a glorious Kirk McLean style save there. Sure. But they didn't lose. The loss had nothing to do with Kevin Lankinen. It had to do with defensive miscues and, Tyler Myers having his worst game of the season. I'm a very pro Tyler Myers person. I think he's had a fantastic season given everything. But like the rest of his mates, could not keep up with the likes of Connor Bedard. Bedard was fantastic. I mean, the way he from the get-go had people chasing him. Myers got lucky. They didn't call for a tripping penalty early in the game. There was a hook by Atu Ratu in the first period that he got away with. Like, Bedard was causing chaos, and the Canucks just couldn't react. And eventually, it all came home to roost in the third period.
Hot take: Derek Forbort puts all the pieces into the right position on Canucks D.
I think he,
or at least the PK.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think like. Every time we've seen him play, I'm like, this is a player that I can see why you like. Problem is he can't stay healthy.
He
would be a massive upgrade. Listen, he's a massive upgrade over P.O. Joseph. And like, I think Junior Pettersson has not been very good this year. And Forbort clearly would be an upgrade over him. So yes, does he make a difference? Yes, but he's not here. And we don't know when he's back. He's on LTIR. Like, he's not back for ages with whatever ailment he's dealing with. So it's not worth it to talk about right now. This is who they have. This is what they have. And in similar teams to needing more on offense, there's a couple defensemen they just need a lot more from right now.
Last question from me. Is this game different if Blashill doesn't challenge that O'Connor goal? And did you understand the ruling on that challenge?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the contact was obvious. I mean, the moment we saw it, we're like, nah. I mean, I looked over at Woodley and he just started shaking his head. He's like, there's no way that's standing up. Right? Like the one.
But he reestablishes outside the crease. Like, the puck actually takes several seconds after the contact before
he's out of his position to begin. I get what you're saying, but he's already out of his position to begin with before the puck gets shoveled under him. Yeah. Right, like he's already swimming. He's swimming from the start. The call last week on McKenzie.
I mean, he's down already. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like last week's. This one made a little bit more sense.
It certainly makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
But
it just
what I don't like is he just throws his arms there. He's dead. It's almost like Justin Dean in center field with the ball lodged.
Yeah.
He just sort of quits on the play because I was bumped.
Yeah, but that's, in the end, that's the, if you get bumped, I mean, almost every time you get bumped, it's not going to be a goal. Now, that's why in the end, the Kane goal got pulled back on the McEachern contact. It was the slightest bit of contact. It was absurd, but there was contact, and that's almost every time the NHL will say there was contact. Goalie was not allowed to play his position.
So. I just wonder, how much license does the goaltender have? Like, if the goaltender goes, "Oh, I'm bumped," and just sits there like a dead fish for 5-10 seconds, like, are they going to give them that benefit of the doubt as well?
Well, it probably depends. It probably depends.
Does the game change otherwise? Like, if the Canucks have a 1-0 lead there, do you see a?
Sure. I maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Blackhawks were playing well, right? Like, it was, like I said, it was a good hockey game because both teams were playing well and creating chances. The Canucks needed to find a way to get more than, a non-goal in those first two periods. They had a bazillion shots, and which meant they had a ton of possession. Like they at a certain level, they were kind of being sucked in by the Blackhawks trap. Like, the Blackhawks wanted these shots. Shoot from here, shoot from here, shoot from here. There's your shooting lane. And the Canucks probably it's right. You look at the heat map, and there were lots of opportunities on top of the crease. But if you actually thought about the game and how those shots added up, there was not a lot of kind of pre-shot movement. There was not a lot of screens. There was not a lot of difficulty other than O'Connor's goal or non-goal. There wasn't a lot of chaos in near night. It was something that was something that I got Adam Foote to admit last night. Like, he just said in the end that we didn't anchor long enough in front. We weren't staying in front long enough. We were there, but then and I really think that was because, they would, I tried to ask Quinn Hughes about it, but I really think because of the fact that the Blackhawks allow you to see the goalie, I think that threw the Canucks off. I think they were almost perhaps quicker to shoot or what have you. But anyway.
Let me ask you this. After this start, are they more or less likely to pay a steep price for a legitimate second-line center? Do they look at this and go, we're just too far away? Or do they say, we need this now more than ever, we need to acquire?
I think what we know about Jim Rutherford and certainly, his view of it all is that you are constantly trying to make your team better, right? So as he would say, if there's a trade that makes sense, there is an opportunity to add a second line center and a center who will make your team better. I would not be shocked to see them go for it, even as thin in their trade chips bag they might be.
Have a good week. We'll catch up next Thursday.
Okay, take care, guys.